was using a crane to lift a heavy machine component, but the hook didn't lock in properly. Still, the lift began. Just moments in, the unstable load slipped free, and the massive part came crashing down right on top of him, trapped underneath with only a small gap keeping him from being crushed completely. He lay there conscious but helpless. Seconds later, coworkers rushed in and quickly reattached the crane, lifting the load just enough to pull him out. He survived, but barely. Never lift heavy machinery without securing proper hooks, shackles, and load checks. A rushed lift can turn into a deadly collapse in an instant. Double check. Triple check. Because when thousands of pounds fall, luck should never be your safety plan. A worker was standing near a machine with exposed rotating parts, trying to grab something close by, but then disaster almost struck. His loose t-shirt got caught in the spinning shaft and began pulling him in with brutal force. In an instant, the fabric wrapped tighter and tighter, dragging his body dangerously close to the machine. By sheer luck, the shirt tore apart before he was pulled in completely, leaving him shaken but alive. Never wear loose clothing near moving machinery, and always use proper guards on rotating parts. One snag can pull you in faster than you can react. Machines don't let go until it's too late. The worker was standing near a running mixer, trying to grab something lying beside it. But in that moment, his loose shirt brushed against the spinning shaft. Instantly, the fabric was caught, twisting tighter and dragging him toward the machine with relentless force. He struggled desperately, pulling back with everything he had as the mixer pulled harder. Seconds felt like hours until finally his shirt tore away, leaving him free, shaken, but alive. Never approach rotating machinery with loose clothing or without proper guarding. What starts as a small snag can pull you in before you even react. Dress right. Stay alert. Because mixers don't stop until you do. At home, a man was cutting a wooden frame using a handheld grinder. No safety boots, no proper gear, just thin gloves. As he pressed into the cut, the spinning blade suddenly shattered. One of the broken pieces ricocheted straight down and sliced deep into his foot. The job site, now a scene of chaos, a moment of carelessness, turned into a serious injury that required emergency care. Power tools demand respect. Whether on the job site or at home, always wear proper protective gear. Inspect tools before use and never assume small jobs are low risk, because one cracked blade can cut straight through more than just wood. Inside a cement factory, a worker approached the furnace to ignite the fire. But instead of proper material, he tossed in something unusual. Something that never belonged near an open flame. The reaction was instant and violent. A burst of fire erupted outward, engulfing the furnace doorway in blazing heat. In a split second, the worker leapt back, escaping what could have been a fatal inferno. Never improvise when fueling or igniting furnaces. Always use approved materials and follow strict firing procedures, because a single wrong item can turn a furnace into a firebomb. Inside a concrete factory, a worker stepped into a massive mixing bowl, half filled with heavy stones and aggregate. He was pulling out debris, removing unusual objects stuck in the mix. But suddenly, more material came tumbling down from above, burying him halfway in seconds. The crushing weight pinned him inside the bowl as other workers rushed to pull him out, every second adding more pressure, more danger. A rescue began. But it was a race against time. Never enter mixing equipment without proper lockout, tagout, and confined space safety protocols. Always clear and secure feed systems before performing maintenance or removal. Because in situations like this, one slip can turn into a slow, suffocating trap. On a ship, a massive chain was being tightened by a winch system when it suddenly snapped under extreme tension. The broken chain lashed out with tremendous force, striking the surrounding area and creating a serious hazard for nearby workers. Incidents like this happen when chains or cables are overloaded or not properly inspected. Always check lifting gear for wear. Maintain safe distances from tension lines and use barriers when possible. Preventive checks and safe positioning can stop high-tension failures from turning into dangerous accidents. In a bustling factory, a worker near a crane guiding a massive steel roll. As he tried to direct its movement by hand, he lost control. The heavy roll swung violently, striking him down. One misstep turned the crane into a deadly force. Always use taglines and keep a safe distance from suspended loads. Avoid the swing zone around moving heavy objects. With cranes, even a small swing packs a destructive punch. Inside the factory, a worker attempted to rope out a massive steel slab, but the slab shifted, lost balance, and came crashing down on him. He screamed for help as coworkers rushed in and pulled him out just in time. Never rely on ropes for heavy loads. Without proper lifting gear, one slip can turn steel into a killer. Inside the factory, a heavy load was being hoisted by crane. Nearby, a worker stood close, helping guide the operation. But as the load was being lowered, tension built, and the lifting chain couldn't hold. It suddenly snapped with violent force, sending the broken end whipping straight into the worker. He was thrown to the ground instantly, knocked down by the sheer power of the recoil. Never trust worn or unchecked lifting chains and always stay clear of the tension zone. Chains under load can turn into whiplash weapons when they fail. Inspect, replace, respect the danger because a single break can break a life. Inside the factory, a malfunction triggered a sudden release of molten metal from a pressurized rod. The searing beam of liquid metal exploded upward, launching with violent force and reaching several meters high. A nearby worker just steps away instinctively, jumped back, escaping by a razor-thin margin. The heat was intense. The timing terrifying. Had he been even one step closer, it could have been fatal. Molten metal operations demand extreme caution and reliable equipment maintenance. Always maintain a safe distance, wear full protective gear, and stay alert for sudden system failures. Because when metal turns liquid, it moves fast, burns deep, and gives you no second chances. A worker was standing a few feet away from a tilt bucket suspended by crane, filled with molten metal, glowing red hot. Using a long metal rod, he began prodding the bucket to start the flow. But instead of a controlled release, he struck it forcefully, causing splashes of molten metal to erupt dangerously into the air. Each hit sent sparks flying, a risky move in such a volatile environment. Then suddenly, the molten metal gave way, pouring down rapidly onto the factory floor. One wrong step and that worker could have been engulfed in liquid fire. Molten metal must be handled with precision, not force. Never strike or agitate molten materials without proper tools, technique, and clearance. Because one careless hit can trigger an uncontrollable spill and irreversible injuries.